Gigi, and happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. I hope you have something fun planned over the weekend and that you've been enjoying our read alouds this week. Chapter 4 is also a very long chapter, so I'm going to split it up over the next few days. But let's go ahead and get started. On Monday, Goonie Bird stood in front of the class when Mrs. Pigeon told her that it was story time. The children barely noticed Goonie Bird's clothes, even though she was wearing a ruffled pinafore, dark blue knee socks, and high-top basketball sneakers. The second graders, and Mrs. Pigeon too, were all much more interested in Goonie Bird's earrings. The earrings dangled and glittered and were very large. "They're beautiful," Kiko said in an awed voice. "My grandma's house has doorknobs that look like that," Tricia announced, "and she has a sparkly chandelier in the dining room. My grandma is very rich." "Do you have holes in your ears?" Malcolm asked. "My mom does. My mom went and had holes stabbed right in her ears with a needle." "I did too," Beanie called out. "I have pierced ears." "So do I," Mrs. Pigeon told the class. She turned her head from side to side so that they could all see her small gold earrings. "No," Goonie Bird said. "My earrings screw onto my ears. They have little screws that you turn." Barry Tuckerman thrust his arm into the air and waved it wildly. Around him, other children had their hands raised too. "My mom has pierced ears," Barry said loudly. "Ben," Mrs. Pigeon said next. Ben said, "My mom has pierced ears and so does my grandma." Let me show you a picture of Goonie so you can see her earrings. "All right, class," Mrs. Pigeon said. "Does anyone else have something to say which is not about pierced ears? Because it is time for Goonie Bird to begin today's story." All of the hands disappeared except one. Chelsea kept her hand high in the air. Mrs. Pigeon sighed. "Chelsea? My mom has a pierced nose," Chelsea told the class. "Oh no," Kiko wailed. "I'm going to be sick." "Shh," the other children said. When the class was quiet, Goonie Bird began her Monday story. The Prince, the Palace, and the Diamond Earrings. Once upon a time, before she moved to Water Tower, when she still lived in China, Goonie Bird Green was on her front porch, playing Monopoly against herself. Goonie Bird number 1. The thimble owned all 4 railroads and St. Charles Place, which she liked because it was magenta. Goonie Bird number 2. The car was having a harder time of it. She owned Atlantic Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue, and she liked the combination of yellow and green. She also owned both Waterworks and the Electric Company, but unfortunately, she was in jail. Suddenly, just as Goonie Bird number 2 tried unsuccessfully for the second time to throw doubles and get out of jail, she heard someone calling loudly. "Napoleon is missing!" It was the prince, who lived next door. Hands flew up into the air, and Goonie Bird looked impatiently at her classmates. Why do you think she was looking impatiently at them? "Are these really, really important questions?" she asked, "because I have just barely started the story." One by one, most of the hands went back down. Mrs. Pigeon had picked up the encyclopedia. "Goonie Bird," Mrs. Pigeon said. "I have a feeling you know this already, but Napoleon Bonaparte," she turned to the class. "He was the Emperor of France," she explained. "Ooh," Kiko said. "I love emperors." Mrs. Pigeon, still looking at the encyclopedia, went on. Napoleon was born in 1769. That's more than 200 years ago. Mrs. Pigeon! Mrs. Pigeon! Barry Tuckerman was halfway out of his seat, waving his hand. Yes, Barry? My grandmother once saw an emperor butterfly, but now it's extinct. It was purple, Barry Tuckerman said. I'll show you another picture. Goonie Bird sighed. Do you want to hear this story or not? She asked. I can't wear these earrings all day. They're very heavy. Yes, we do, Mrs. Pigeon said. Please go on. Ready? Goonie Bird asked the class. Everyone was ready, so Goonie Bird continued. Goonie Bird, the prince called, sounding very distressed. Napoleon has disappeared. Can you help us find him? Goonie Bird carefully tucked all of the Monopoly money under the edge of the board so that it wouldn't blow away. There was a slight breeze. She had had problems with money blowing away in the past. She kept her own money collection, which she carried with her at all times, safely contained in a Ziploc bag. Then Goonie Bird set out to look for clues that might reveal the whereabouts of Napoleon. Napoleon was not the Emperor of France. He was a large black poodle. And we're going to stop there for today, 2G. I hope you have a great weekend and that you are doing well and staying healthy. I miss you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.